Hi everyone, it's Natalie. I am here for my first Tuesday tea with Natalie, where I'm going to sip on a delicious cup of hot tea and talk to you about the issues. In case that didn't work, hi, it's Natalie. I am starting my first Tuesday tea with Natalie, where I sip on some hot tea and talk to you about some of the ongoing issues that are important for this election. Please feel free to drop some comments and questions, and I'm happy to answer them as I'm going through. But what I want to talk about today is the importance of down ballot voting and how to get the information you need for voting in this election, especially in this election where it is a little crazy with everything that's going on, and there are some concerns about voting in person. So, first, to start with down ballot voting, what does that mean? Down ballot voting. It's probably a term that you've heard, and you may or may not know what that means. So, down ballot voting are the issues and the races that are below president, US Senate, US House of Representatives. Anything below that, we start calling down ballot voting because those are the races that are at the top for you to vote for, and then everything else is down the ballot. And there are actually a significant portion of people who only vote for president or for um, the US Senate or the US House of Representatives, and they ignore those races that are on the ballot below that. And that's a problem because those people affect your day to day life much more than the president and the representatives that you send to Washington. So don't ignore those races. Make sure you're looking at them. What is included in that? My race, the state house, state senate, the public service commission for Georgia is there's 2 spots open this year that we have people running for. You're going to see a number of different positions: coroner, county commissioners, county board of education. There's so many different races that deserve your attention and deserve your vote. And these are the people that really affect your life from day to day. And so it's so important that those aren't ignored. If you already vote for those, great. When you're talking to others about the election, make sure that you're asking them if they pay attention to down ballot voting. Now, in counties like Forsyth County, where so many of those positions have been unchallenged for so long and are still unchallenged this year, it can seem like, why should I pay attention? Well, things are changing. They aren't unchallenged anymore. Every state house and state senate seat for Forsyth County residents has a challenger this year. So those races, while you might have ignored them for so long, there's no need to ignore them anymore because there's actually a choice on the ballot. Now, when it comes to the races where there is no choice, you don't have to vote. If there's only one name and it's a name that you don't want to give your vote to, you don't have to do that because there isn't a choice. You can do a write-in. You can, um, you can said you can ignore it. But if there is a choice, make sure you're going all the way down that and looking. And it isn't just actual races for positions that are going to be down ballot. A lot of the times there are things that you can vote on that are statewide or county or city ordinances, things that you can vote on. For example, a couple years ago, we had what was called the brunch bill or the mimosa mandate, and that was about moving alcohol sales on Sunday in restaurants earlier. And that was a vote that was put to the people. So that's something that you have a say in, but only if you're looking down the ballot at those issues. Now, when it comes to this election, I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but in 2018, there were some national headlines about Georgia and our elections and our voters, our voter registration, voter access. So there was some purging of people from the voter registration rolls. So don't assume that you are registered to vote. You want to make sure that you are registered to vote. And one of the ways to do that is to go to the My Georgia voter page. Now, I was hoping I was going to be able to share my screen, but apparently Facebook doesn't want to let me do that. So the My Georgia Voter page is mvp.sos.ga.gov. And here you can put in your name, county, date of birth, and it's going to show you the status of your voter registration. Are you registered? Where you're registered, where your polling place is, the hours of your polling place on election day. It's going to show you the districts that you are in for U.S. Senate, for U.S. state, U.S. House of Representatives. It's going to show you state House of Representatives. It's going to show you state Senate. It's going to show you all those different districts, county commissioner, county board of education. So you know exactly who you are going to have, the seats that you're going to have to vote for. Something else that you can look for is the qualified candidates page. There's a sample ballot, but that's not going to come out until closer to the election. So without the sample ballot, one thing that you can do is go to the Georgia's Secretary of State page and go to the elections page, and there's a way to look at qualified candidates. And I'll put all of these links in the comments to the video here in a moment. But you can go to those qualified candidates page, and you can look and see who the candidates are for those races for the districts that are listed on your voter page. And that'll give you an idea of who is running, and you can start doing your own research into those seats and see who is going to be there for you to look at and to vote for. So let me throw those links into the comments for you. So the first one I'm putting in there is the My Georgia Voter page, and that's where you can check your voter registration. You can register to vote from that page if you are not currently registered. You can find out your polling place. You can find out your districts for state house, state senate, county commissioner, things like that. This is a very important page. Now, it is important to note you cannot register online if you do not have a signature on file with the Georgia Department of Motor Vehicles. The way that voter registration works in Georgia, and especially if you're doing something like an absentee ballot, they match your signature on file to the signature that you put on your absentee ballot. So with the DMV, if you have one of the newer licenses, you had to sign electronically, and that signature is on file for them to compare. If you don't have a driver's license or you haven't been updated to the newer driver's license yet, that signature isn't on file for you, and so you have to register in person to vote because you have to sign something so they have that on file. Speaking of absentee ballot voting, this My Georgia Voter page is also the place where you go to request your absentee ballot. And Georgia has no excuse absentee voting, which means that you don't need to be in the service or infirm or have any reason, you don't have to have a reason for not wanting to go to the polls live. In Georgia, you just have to request it. So with no excuse absentee voting, you go to that My Georgia Voter page, you log in, which is with your first initial, last name, birth date, and county, and once in there, you can request your absentee ballot. That also shows you the status of your absentee ballot. So once you've submitted your absentee ballot back, once you've mailed it back or put it in one of the drop boxes for your county ballot boxes, you can check that page to make sure that your absentee ballot was counted and accepted. And if it's not accepted, they should be contacting you to tell you why. It could be a signature mismatch or something like that. But this is where you can track that information if you're choosing to vote that way. If you choose to vote absentee ballot, you have two choices with your ballot. Once you make that request and it is sent to you, you can fill it out and mail it back, or there are drop boxes around the county, ballot boxes that you can drop that ballot in. And these are secure, they are monitored by video. So if you're a little concerned about the rate of mail being submitted and you just want to make sure that it's going in, you do have the option to drop. You also have early voting options in Georgia, and that means that if you want to vote in person, but you don't want to have to worry about the lines on election day, for example, Forsyth County does early voting. Those are usually the Saturdays, a few Saturdays leading up to the election, and it's in usually one location, but sometimes more. And that information is also going to be on the My Voter page. So there's so many options you have this year to make sure that your vote is being counted. it can feel sometimes like you aren't being heard and your vote doesn't matter. But your vote absolutely doesn't matter if you never cast it. It's so important to get to the polls, especially this year, and make sure that your voice is heard. So there's the My Voter page in the comments. I'm also going to drop that page that shows you the qualifying candidate information, because that will allow you to look up who is running for what, and there's usually an email address or a website or a phone number or something for you to be able to actually contact the candidates that are running for the different seats that you have the chance of voting for. So please do check that out as well. And you can use that as a starting point to learn more about the people that are running to represent you. And you can learn more about the seats that they're running for as well. When I've been doing voter outreach these past few months, a big question I get is, okay, State House of Representatives, what do you do? And that's a great question. What does the State House of Representatives do? Well, Georgia's legislature works very similarly to our US legislature in that we have a House of Representatives and we have a Senate. And bills are proposed, voted on, and they have to pass both chambers before they go to the governor to be signed or vetoed. So, as a state legislator in the House of Representatives, I would be responsible for drafting legislation, voting on legislation, working to create legislation that improves and protects and uplifts the people of Georgia. And that's one of the reasons that I am running, is because I want to make a difference for not just the people of Forsyth County, but for everybody in Georgia. And I want to know that in some small way, I have improved the livelihood and lives of the people of the state that I am proud to live in. So it's a lot of information right now, and I'm sorry I couldn't share my screen. Hopefully I'll get that sorted before my next Tuesday tea with Natalie, which I haven't done a lot of tea drinking. Let me just take a sip right now. Drinking decaf because it's so late in the day. Had all of my caffeinated tea earlier. Um, it's a lot of information and it can get confusing. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email, give me a phone call, send me a message on Facebook. I'm happy to walk you through any questions you have, finding the information that you need, and helping you if you need to get re-registered to vote, if you aren't sure how to find your polling location, if you're unsure about dates, when things are opening. Something that's really important to remember, though, is in Georgia, we do not have uh, we do not have same day registration for voting. You must be registered in advance of election day if you want to vote. So for our election on November 3rd, the general election where you can vote for president, where you can vote in 2 U.S. Senate races in the state of Georgia, where you can vote for your U.S. House of Representatives representative, where you can vote for your state senator and state representative, where you can vote for public service commissioner and your county commissioners, all of that. All of that is November 3rd. And if you want to be able to vote in that election, you must be registered by October 5th of this year. So it's almost a full month in advance. And that's why it's so important for you to go to the website as soon as possible and check and make sure that you are registered. Even if you know that you registered before, check that registration, make sure you're still active, and that you have the ability to go to the polls and vote. Let's see. Now, advanced early voting is going to begin on October 12th for the November elections. That's when early voting begins, and the absentee ballots will be sent uh, usually at the end of September, but obviously with the way things are, I'm not sure if there's an exact date for that yet. So please tell your friends the importance of voting down ballot, of looking at every single race, at every single question, and making sure that those positions that are so important to your day-to-day life are being represented by people that you trust to actually serve your best interest and the best interests of your community. That's something I feel is lost with a lot of politicians, is they've forgotten that they are hired by the people of their district to serve the people of that district. We don't work for them, they work for us. As your state representative, I would work for you, and it would be my responsibility to vote in a way on legislation that reflects the people of Forsyth and what is best for them. And that's why I'm going to be accessible. You can call me, you can email me, you can message me on Facebook. You want to get a cup of coffee and talk about issues, I'm happy to do that. I'll be drinking tea and not coffee, but let's meet, let's talk. And it'll be the same way should I earn your vote and get the opportunity to serve you and the entire district in the House of Representatives for the state of Georgia. Again, I know this was a lot of information and I couldn't share my screen, and I will try to have that fixed for next time so that if I have something that I'm sharing, I can do that. Oh, it looks like a bug just crawled over my camera. Sorry about that. The joys of doing a live video outside. Um, I'm really honored to have the opportunity to serve Forsyth County and to represent some of the change that we've been seeing here. And I'm excited for what the future holds. And again, I hope that I can earn your vote in November and have the chance to really serve the district. If you have any questions about the importance of down ballot voting, the types of races that are going to be on the ballot this November, how to check your registration, how to register, how to vote, the different opportunities for voting, where any of the locations are for early voting, for your own personal polling place, anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help you. I hope you all have a fantastic Tuesday, and I will see you next week. Same Nat time, same Nat channel.